Hey there everyone, and welcome to a video about the archer skills from levels 10 to 99. There isn't so much to talk about for archer skills as there is for the other two, and the main reason is because most of the damage skills I'm not really talking about. There isn't really a lot to talk about them, to do with them, because they just double the cooldown, quadruple the mana cost and quadruple the damage. And really I'm looking at the more interesting ones, because those ones are kind of, they're easier to kind of comprehend. So there's less to talk about because a lot of the skills on Archer are actually damage skills, and then the ones which aren't are basic attack buffs, which the whole purpose, one of the main reasons why they did these changes, the extra skill levels and stuff, is because they wanted to buff the other classes and not buff the basic attack build on Archers. So the basic attack buffs have not really increased, they've just got like lifesteal added on, healing again, kind of lifesteal really, and yes, so there's less to talk about. Anyway, the first thing I want to talk through first of all is barbed arrows, which I have no idea why they've done this. So from levels 10 to 99, the damage increase goes from 25% to 37.5. So it's a 50% increase on that base damage, while increasing the mana cost. However, what this has actually done is barely any damage increase at all, because the main damage is going to be coming from your Scorching Arrow skill rune or any other skill rune you put on. So that damage increase isn't much, and the mana per shot, since it's gone from 10 to 40, you'd think that's quadrupling, but actually it's multiplying it by 8, because you've actually got the this is essential for all archers to get, is the mana drain, where you get 5 mana per hit. So that reduces the cost by 5, which normally reduces it to 5 from 10. But now it's reducing it from 40 to 35. So I've got 1,500 mana here, and let's see how quickly that mana goes down. Oh, I've got a mana potion on. That's not really... Okay. I've got these potions running, and I can't really be bothered to wait until they go. But yeah, basically, this runs down super fast. You run out of mana almost immediately. It's in a few seconds. 35 per shot. That's like 103 shots, and you see how fast we attack. Like it goes in a very short period of time. There's no point leveling up the barbed arrow skill, and yeah, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. Now, another interesting one of the damage skills is actually volley. The reason why this is interesting, and it's not damage skills aren't so interesting on the other classes, is because with Archer, the majority of the damage is coming from the basic attacks. When you use a skill, there's actually more benefit now from having that skill do lots of damage in one hit, rather than being able to spam it off really quickly. So I went into this in my guide here on each of the skills and talked about it a lot, on each of the damage skills, and did it by skill. And I'm not going to go through them all, but a volley is a fairly interesting one for the reason that it has uses in PvP, and it deals the most damage per use anyway. So for increasing our damage per second, it's the closest one to it. And so getting this up to 99 and 99 means it does a ton of damage, because it does this 3 times. And yeah, so there is some use in leveling this up. Maybe not all the way to 99, because you don't want the cooldown right the way up to 10. But you could get this up somewhat. And yeah, let's just check the damage. Actually, I haven't actually used this to see how much it hits. But I'll put the sniper buff on, and then use it on the boss. Come on. No. I'll do Mark of Death as well, actually, just to make it as much damage as possible. I didn't actually use Mark of Death. I forgot you need to tag that on the boss first. So I'll now use it. So yeah, it's fairly damaging. If you can see the numbers there, quite a few 100,000. Did a fair chunk of the boss's health there in the few hits. So there's some use to doing that, but there's not a whole lot of use, because having a 5-second cooldown is ultimately better, I think. But anyway, just wanted to talk about that as well. So now looking at the other skills, there's Smokescreen, which I can't really show too much because I can't show PvP. But what this does is it adds a stun immunity up to 100%. At a higher mana cost. That's the only difference it makes. So obviously that's pretty much just PvP. In PvE you don't really get stunned, Certainly not as an archer where you avoid most of the attacks anyway. Knights may get stunned a bit. I'm not really sure what stuns. But anyway, that's PvP. And if I'm honest, I think that is quite a cool buff to add on to it, but a bit too expensive for 90 skill points. So I wouldn't rush to do this first. However, this would make Smokescreen quite an awesome PvP skill. Seeing as, you know, you've got the other effects and stuff, the slows, damage reduction, and that kind of stuff on it already. Then adding stun immunity as well makes it really quite an awesome skill. It's not something you can have out constantly, but you could definitely make use of that. Now what to talk about next? Well, I've kind of talked about this stuff already in the pet skills video, but Falconer gets a huge buff, levels 10 to 99. This completely revamps the skill, and it does this by reducing the cooldown. So the cooldown is 300 seconds at level 10, and it goes down to 60 at level 99, while the duration is still 300. So originally you could use it every 300 seconds, and it lasted 300 seconds, and that was the way it worked, because you just create the Falcon, and then the Falcon can't even be attacked, so it's just there as a constant buff. However, with Stone Bear this was no use, because Stone Bear, the whole point of it is it kind of tanks. It does a little bit of damage for you, but it's a bear there that tanks for you. And so having a 300 second cooldown on that is kind of pointless. So they reduced it to 60, and now you can use it as something to tank with. So if we do that now, and see how useful it actually is, when I tested this before, it did survive quite nicely actually. It survived for quite a while. I think it was like 13 seconds when I timed it, something like that. So if you look at the cooldown here, this is with a cooldown potion active, but you can see that it was like 26 seconds cooldown, and it survived for half the time. Now consider that on top of your decoy. It can work as an extra kind of decoy. It's not as strong, definitely not as good as the normal decoy, but to use in combination with it, it's really quite cool. And I showed it recently in that video, what was it, doing the Godwood challenge map, and I used Stone Bear there. So yeah, that's quite cool. And you can use the, I'll be showing it in another video, but making multiple copies of the Falcons, that could be quite cool as well. So as well as giving Stone Bear now proper use, it's also increased the damage output by 4 times. And yeah, it's a straight up buff. So it's not the best skill in the world, but they've done a lot here in the extra levels to make this worthwhile. It's definitely got its uses, and you know, if you're not rushing to do anything else, then this could be a good one to invest in. Ballista is another one which I've talked about previously, and it is incredibly strong. I'm actually going to restart this map just so we can see how much damage it can do. But ultimately what this does is quadruples the damage output and increases the mana cost. That's all it does. The what do you call it? Got distracted by the pop-up. That's all it does, is increase the damage output, which, yeah, I've lost my train of thought completely. Anyway, I'm going to use it on the boss now, and we'll see how much damage it does. Oh, I used the Stone Bear by accident. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll use the Frost Turret, and let's just watch the boss's health. So it lasts for 10 seconds, does 21 attacks, and because of this huge damage increase, there's not going to be so much focus on the skill rune. Having a skill rune on there will obviously get a straight up buff, but yeah, you can see it took about a third of the boss's health. Definitely over a quarter there. Yeah, more like a third, with 1 ballista, which on top of your other attacks and stuff, I think that's actually really good. I mean, pet damage is unreliable because it may go down, well, it almost always goes down after they buff it. But they've made this skill really quite useful in my mind, and I would definitely get this up to level 99. There's no negative side of leveling it up. It's purely just that damage increase for the increase in mana, but the mana isn't hugely high. Like you can cope with that. So that's quite cool. And then the last one to talk about really here. Oh, actually, okay, I'll mention as well the Mark of Death. It gets this healing effect rather than a lifesteal that the Sniper and Pierce get. This gets a healing, which right now that works out as roughly 2%, sorry, 200% lifesteal, because it's based off your weapon damage. You can see here this is 1,500. So the fact this is 3000, means it's about 200% lifesteal. So that's actually a fairly decent boost, and considering it doesn't change anything else other than the mana cost, this is something again which you could consider just to help you not really tank up, but like you can then put that on the boss and attack, and it won't matter so much if you're getting attacked if you've got this on top of other lifesteal effects. Yes. Anyway, so the last thing to talk about, which is the kind of most interesting one, is decoy here. It adds damage redirection, which I'm not going to be able to full screen now, but damage redirection, the way it works is it's literally an area around your decoy. If you stand in that area, then you're going to a percentage of the damage you take is going to be redirected to the decoy. So this goes up to 100% when you've got it maxed. One big problem is the cooldown increases from 11 to 15, but ultimately this shouldn't cause you problems, because it does survive long enough that actually it's okay. Especially if you have a cooldown potion active, it's not a problem at all. And yes, so the damage redirection is very, very good. It's crazily good, to be honest. And this one here will take a couple of seconds to come out, but if I just show how far the redirection goes from, I can stand probably about over here, and I won't take any damage. It's gone now, so let's just put another one out. Oh, pressing the wrong button there. Yes, if I walk about this far, I'm going to start getting hurt. Oh, it's gone. Okay. Let's put a couple of decoys out. So if I stand this far, I'm still not taking any damage. I can go fairly far away before I do start taking damage. And I think it's roughly a similar size to the damage reduction effect which you get from decoy in PvP. I'm just going to let the enemies die off there. Oh, come on, revive. So, if we stand over here, I'm going to get hurt, am I? Yes, I'm going to get hurt, and then I get killed by the thing. So that's too far away, but hopefully I've shown enough now that you can see it's fairly good distance that it does cover. And yeah, this means that you don't have to worry so much about having your decoy between you and the enemies. You just need it nearby, and then you're going to be absolutely fine. Now I've got a cooldown potion out here. I'll switch which one I'm using. I'll use water illusion instead. So I can't have multiple out because it is a bit good having multiple out. But yes, hopefully you can see it survives, long enough. And then, oh yes, that was the thing. That was the thing I was going to say. Water illusion, sorry, with decoy, this damage redirection. What will happen is if it actually redirects too much that the decoy would die, it stops redirecting the damage. However, the decoy still stays there. So in terms of the cooldown increase, the reason why it's not a problem is that you can instead be the decoy yourself. So you put the decoy out, you then let yourself get hit loads, and then when the decoy should be dead, you then run behind the decoy, and you see here, they're not dealing enough damage to kill the decoy actually, but if they were to deal enough damage to me that the decoy would die, then it would stop redirecting, and I can then run behind the decoy and let the decoy tank for a bit longer. So hopefully, I clicked the torch, but yeah, I won't bother showing it, to be honest. I'm sorry if I've been a little bit down in this video. I'm just not really feeling it today. Feeling a little bit unwell. But that is the archer skills. Going from 10 to 99. The main interesting ones that I like are the decoy, which is an incredible buff. Smokescreen is a nice buff for PvP, and then these two pet skills, they get a huge revamp really, and they become very viable. And then volley has that kind of interesting effect, interesting use of actually just making it super strong. So then it becomes something which you can use to increase your DPS, where you might not normally be able to do that. Anyways, that's all of them. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks very much for watching.